Okay, thanks for joining us. August 25th, we're here with Peter Sirmon, our defensive coordinator and inside linebackers coach. You guys know the process. Let me know in the chat if you have a question, and I'll go ahead and call upon you. We'll get started with Jeff Ferrato. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, how you doing, Peter?
Good afternoon, Jeff.
Can you talk a little bit about the progress that Kaleb Elarms-Orr made? Specifically, what did he do from a year ago to now to get where he's at?
Kaleb has made tremendous progress. We call him KJ around here. From the recruiting process during COVID, he played as a junior. He really played a bunch of edge. He was a defensive end. He was explosive. He made all sorts of plays. And then his senior season got pushed back into a spring season. And in that season, unfortunately, he ended up injuring his ACL, rehabbed extensively from that point to his first year. And then, kind of got back into it in year two, healthy and kind of getting back to what he was in high school. And then really the last 12, 14 months, really at the end of last fall, the winter, I think he started making a big jump in spring. It was one of those the jumps that you typically don't see. You love to witness it, but it was such a significant jump in terms of his attitude towards the game, understanding that this was something that he started to really value. He poured himself into the playbook and all the nuances of what we were trying to do defensively. And then he came out in the spring and really took as large of a step as I've seen in a player in a long time. He has really good physical tools. It was just about getting comfortable and getting him to play behind the ball a little more, which is something he didn't do in high school. He was an edge player. And to change your perspective a little bit and play behind the ball, it takes a tremendous amount of intentional and deliberate practice. And then he got healthy and he got in the playbook, and now we're seeing him and what his best version is.
Did you always know you were going to move him inside, or if not, when did you decide, and why did you decide that?
We never really, during the recruiting process, we didn't get the opportunity in that entire class. We didn't have a great opportunity to see the guys because it was COVID and no one left campus. So, there were some guys that we had signed that in that last 12 months from when they got to campus, they physically changed a lot. Edge guys, that come in, the first thing you do is, we try to, if they can continue playing the edge, if they think that that's the stature or the tools to do it, we'll keep them out there. Because he was injured coming in, it was more about just the rehab process and getting him back on the field. And then as we got healthy again, we kind of saw, okay, I think these tools are going to be better inside. And, that was a growth for him. But I think as he's come into his health and gotten to know him a little better, I think he's better suited inside. And then we made that change and probably about a year and a half ago.
And still really inexperienced, obviously. I think he played a lot of special teams primarily last year. How much does it help him to have Jackson sort of alongside him, a guy who's played a long time and knows what he's doing?
I think there's a comfort level, inexperienced guys but playing alongside guys that have a little more calm and some more banked reps in there. KJ's inexperienced like a lot of guys that we're going to play. And there's one way you gain experience. And we're willing to live through some of those bumps. And experienced players make mistakes. So, we're mindful and we're aware of what some of these young guys might do. But we're also very aware of what they can do. And we're willing to take some of those bumps, help them along the way, continue to build them up, get some other guys in the rotation. And I expect those guys at a lot of positions to gain valuable experience as they continue to improve.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Matt Moreno from Rivals.
A lot of oars up front with the depth chart. How much of that is based on some decisions that still have to be made or versus kind of just the plan to maybe play a lot of guys?
I'd say it's the latter. I think it's the opportunity to play a lot of guys. I think there's a lot of guys that deserve to play. The starting lineup forces you to have, the first 11 out there, but I don't think that's necessarily an indication of how you feel about them as players. And then especially at certain positions are notorious for significant rotations. And we feel we have good depth at those heavy oar positions. And, it's a way for us to communicate that we think there's more than one guy that's capable of being the starter.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn for Right for California.
Good afternoon, Peter. A lot has been made about Brett Johnson's return from injury and what that will do for him. But from a coaching perspective, what will it do for guys like Miles Jernigan, Xavier Carlton, David Reese, and the rest of the pass rush?
As you continue to add players, to that defense, especially the front, we expect a person like Brett to significantly impact the outcome of the game. And there's a lot of talented people that we talked about how many oars are in the interior position, the defensive line, and the guys that are playing edges. So, anytime that we can continue to add guys that are coming back from injury, keeping guys fresh throughout the game, we expect that to be a significant advantage for those guys that are coming off the bench and trying to keep them as fresh as possible. So I think it's going to be a benefit for not just the guys up front, but hopefully the coaching staff and the entire football team.
Okay, we'll open it up for second questions or follow-ups. If you do have another question or a follow-up, let me know in the chat. Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrado. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Peter, when do you guys start game planning for North Texas, or have you already started that?
Yeah, we already began. So we started implementing some what we call scout and service periods into yesterday's practice. So we have kind of two different ways that Coach Wilcox does it. We have our what we call our good on good, which is just we're running our offense, running the defense, and then we have a little more specific opportunities we call service and scout. Service is we're running our ones versus our twos and twos versus our ones with as many base calls as we can, things that we already have in our system that we feel can develop the twos and not require a significant amount of carding. So it gives the guys a chance to just continue to play the technique, get good quality reps, and not have it slow down and be what we call a scout period. And then the second part of that is after the scouts is we have scouts period, and that's going to be more very, very driven specifically to what the offense and defense does. And we'll allocate different times to that throughout the practice schedule and how we build it. But those are typically carded periods, and we'll get the exact look that we want. And sometimes those are pictures that our offense doesn't easily build through their own terminology. So we'll be more specific in those type of looks or spacings or splits or different things to get the exact look that we want so we can get good film and good instruction on it.
You've got a new staff and a new quarterback. And do you have a sense of kind of what they do offensively?
You always reach back and kind of what they have done. However, in my experience in these first game situations, there's going to be some carryover because that's what got them the job. In the background at Washington State, we've played against each other before. However, again, in my experience, you start getting an influx of new coaches, and with new coaches come new ideas. So not everybody was from Washington State with him in the last stop. So you would imagine there's some new influences, some new ideas. So first game is always a tough draw, and especially with a brand new coaching staff. And then if you look at the roster and look at our roster, just the amount of new faces on that are hard to find. You might go back and see what they did at the last school, but what they did at the last school might not be how they're used in the new school. So it's one of those that you got to keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel, be adaptable, and do a good job of in-game adjustments and trying to figure things out in the fly.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Matt Moreno.
Probably our fault for not bringing him up more during camp, but what did Kalen Moore show you throughout the course of camp and even going back to the spring up to this point?
Kalen has a real knack for playmaking, and I thought as he's been with us, and in particular, probably the last 12 practices with us, scrimmage number 1 in fall, Kalen really was around the ball, was a physical finisher, was making plays on the ball, and I really felt like that was a giant step for him. He made plays in the spring, he made plays early in camp, but it was like that scrimmage 1, so I think it was about practice 7 or 8, that Kalen really flashed what we think he is capable of, and he's continued to make strides from there. So the last 10 days, 10 practices, I think have been really tremendous for Kalen, and we're excited to get him opportunities to play.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn, right for California.
You mentioned just now talking about spacing and splits. It looked like during the course of fall camp, Brett was playing more along the outside compared to seasons in the past. I was wondering how much more effective does that make him, considering he'll be coming from around the edge?
Well, those guys all play a lot of different positions. Sometimes based on what we're playing that day, guys might be in different spots based on availability of some other players. So I don't think that's that's something that we'll continue to find the right spot for really all those interior players. So we'll see how we allocate them on game day.
All right. We're here with inside linebacker Kaleb Elarms-Orr. Kaleb is a Bay Area native who's scheduled to make his first start at Cal against North Texas. So we'll go ahead and get started with questions. Let me know if you have a question by letting me know in the chat. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report. Go ahead, Jeff.
Kaleb, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Can you talk about the improvement you've made in the past year and what you think you've done that get you in this position?
My improvement in the past year has definitely been really big. Last year I was on scout team the whole year. Wasn't really, performing at the level that I needed to, and I wasn't really doing the things that I needed to. So this offseason I definitely watched a lot of film with Coach Taylor and Coach Sherman, and just, grinding that mental part of the game, because I knew that I always had the athleticism and speed to be good, but it was more so a mental thing because I never played inside in high school. So just grinding the mental game, just watching like an hour and a half, 2 hours of film a day, just really getting the film. And I feel like that really helped me improve my game. Just being able to see the game slow down and just being able to see the game, process in front of me really helped by just watching a lot of film in the offseason.
Great, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll go to Matt Moreno from Rivals.
Obviously you've been working with the ones pretty late in camp, but when you finally got the word that you're going to be starting, what was kind of going through your head and what was your reaction like?
It was definitely exciting. I'm definitely excited to, be out there with the ones and just put my talent and all my work on display. It was definitely exciting, like I said, and I can't wait to be out there for North Texas to just process each play one by one and just, show everybody my athleticism and my speed and just show them what I can do.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn from Right for California.
Kaleb, you mentioned that your offseason preparation was pretty much the catalyst for your rises. I was curious as to whether you found anything else that separated yourself by the end of fall camp.
Me, I'm really big on effort. I just want to give a lot of effort in whatever I do. I come from a great room with a lot of good inside backers, Sergio, Blake, Nwelu, so there's a lot of great guys in that room, but I feel like just always running to the ball, just being physical, playing fast, and just, being the best that I could be. I feel like just really improved my game from last year to spring, and then from spring to, where I am now. I feel like I improved a lot, and I'm at a good spot right now, and I just want to keep improving game by game. So, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take second questions now, and if you do have follow-ups, feel free to do that. We'll go ahead and go to Jeff Ferrato. Go ahead, Jeff.
Kaleb, you played, we're told, mostly on the edge in high school at Moreau. Peter Sirmon said that they thought you'd be better fit to play inside at some point. Did you expect that to happen? Do you know what they had in mind for you when you came to Cal, and what did you have envisioned for yourself?
For myself, just being the best player I could be. When I was coming to Cal, when I was first getting recruited, they had talks of me being on the outside and inside. So I was kind of expecting to change to inside. When I first got here, I started off at outside, and then a couple of weeks later, Coach Sherman came to me and said he thought I'd be a better fit at inside. So, for myself, just making plays. I don't really mind if I play outside, inside, just, making plays, using my tools, using my athleticism, just being fast, being physical, and just getting to the ball against the quarterback, making plays just one by one is what I want to do.
How comfortable are you now at that inside spot?
I'm pretty comfortable. I feel like kind of like I said earlier, the film and just preparing myself mentally definitely helped, because inside you got to know what the guys up front are doing. You got to know what the safeties are doing. You got to know what a lot of different other guys on the field are doing. So just, working that mental game day by day definitely helped me. And I feel way more comfortable than I did, a year ago.
Thanks.
Sir.
Okay, we'll go back to Matt Moreno from Rivals.
Jackson is obviously a very talented player to line up next to. How has that bond grown between you two over these recent weeks? And how confident are you that you guys can be a really talented duo there come North Texas?
I'm really confident. Jackson, like you said, he's a veteran. He's, been around this game for a long time. And I feel a lot more comfortable with him. He's somebody that gives me a lot of advice, just teaches me how to, read my keys, be a better inside backer, and just trust my eyes, use my athleticism and speed to just, make plays. So I feel like we can definitely be a very good duo, in North Texas and this upcoming season. I feel like we balance each other really well, and I feel like we'll be able to, make some plays and make something spark this year.
Okay, we'll go back to Thomas Dunn from Brentford, California.
So you mentioned that having guys around you that would help you out, and we just talked about Jackson. What's it like having guys like Brett along the defensive line, and then Craig and Patrick down in the safety position, just helping you out and compartmentalizing everything as it comes towards you?
It's definitely beneficial, having those hogs up front, that could just open up those gaps and just make your job easier is definitely beneficial. And then, having guys like you said, Craig, Pat, Noel, Lou, the whole secondary, Little John, just those guys in the secondary, being able to depend on them. And if I'm running a blitz, or, if I'm trying to get after a play, they're in coverage, just making it easier for me, and just having good guys around you all around is just very beneficial, and just makes your job at inside backer a lot easier.